Hi everyone, I'm Fabian, and today we're going to be watching the Community Schools of Frankfort School Board meeting for August 19th, 2025. The next one will be coming up pretty soon, but I wanted to go over this one because there's a lot of information about Senate Enrolled Act 1 in this. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it is pretty bad, and so go watch my previous video about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch it.
Community Schools of Frankfort will increase and enhance parent involvement and community partnerships while improving overall communication. Checked with Amanda Brackett, who ran the food service program, or the provided meals to kids this summer. And out of the Frankfort High School, they served 17,105 breakfasts this summer, 18,171 lunches to kids in the community. That's a lot of food.
So I am going to skip over it, but they do go over a bunch of new progress that we've made towards meeting our goals for the Community Schools of Frankfort. There was a lot of good student achievement, but a lot of that was due to extra hard work that they were doing. And I think they even said it was even over the summer. My worry is that it won't be sustainable due to Senate Enrolled Act 1 and all the cuts that we're going to go through. And I'm about to skip to that part, so I'll just go ahead and let you decide for yourself if you think that that is sustainable or not.
On 2,888 students, and then they went through and said, here's how much money you're going to get. And they came out with a 2% increase. And you may have heard at the time touting this 2% increase going to state schools. But we're just going to focus on comparing 2025 with 2026. A piece that wasn't included, but is part of the calculation, and that is over the last 2 years, we have received money from the state for textbooks. A couple years ago, the state decided that we were no longer going to charge families textbook fees, and instead they were going to give dollars to schools, and we were getting that in December. And so in the 24-25 school year, we received $463,000 towards curriculum. But that number is baked into the 25-26 number. So when you add that back in, what you're really saying is that in 24-25, we received $25,460,000. We're going to get $25,494,000. That's only a $34,000 increase, or 0.13%. I feel like we had kind of a disingenuous forecast that we were going to get a 2% increase, and again, this is based on, this is where I get a little worked up, sorry. This is when they say, well, you're only going to drop 12 students in this calculation. So granted, we lose some students, you're still going to grow 2%. No, we're not. Because there's money that wasn't included in the calculation for the comparison, it was left out. If we were to only lose 8 students, we would only get 0.13%. Now, this is not the budget hearing, so this is not our numbers. This is just based on that previous page that the state put forth. We're going to look at Senate Enrolled Act 146. So Senate Enrolled Act 146 states that we're going to have a set a target for teachers for the minimum starting salary to go from $40,000 to $45,000, and that 65% of your education fund needs their total compensation for teachers goes to 65%. So what does that mean for us? Well, our starting salary is $40,500. If we were to try to increase our salary to the base starting at $45,000, and when we do that, let's be real. We're not just saying we're going to take just the new teachers and make them $45,000. What does that do to teachers in years 3, 4, and 5, right? So we would need to increase all teachers by the amount to make that fair. We're looking at an estimated cost of over $1 million, $1,057,000. But luckily we have $34,000 to go towards that number. So one of the things I want to draw your attention to, though, is if you look at the bottom line, the total tax obligation, the impact that the state made on property taxes dropped a homeowner's tax obligation from 2025 to 2026. But then look what happens. It stays the same, doesn't change. So all the work that was done to drop property tax for homeowners, the change impacted basically 1 year, but it's going to hurt community schools of Frankfort and other schools for years to come. We're expected to lose 30% more than what we've lost previously. So our tax cap loss is now going to be $1,678,800. So that's money that we would come to the operations fund, but isn't, and that number grew from last year by 30%. On top of that, that new homestead credit that was put in place is negatively impacting our operations fund by another $91,000. Looking at our operations fund, while it grows 4%, is now going to be $220,000 less in 26 than it is in 25. So I talked about debt service fund. The debt service fund is going to have almost the same amount of money impacting that on that $91,000 that we'll lose on our debt service fund this year. So as the state has put things in place to drop net assessed value, what do we have to do to the tax rate to equal the same amount of money? We have to raise it.
So that's pretty much it for the Senate Enrolled Act 1 part of the video, but we still have quite a bit of the meeting to go over. Obviously, it's bad, and this is why I've been talking about it so often, and why I've been pushing our local officials on it so hard, because we're talking about the future of our children and their education and the opportunities that they'll have in the future. And we're dumping it in the trash, and already people are feeling hopeless in this country, especially the younger generations. And at times myself, it's not good.
Ms. Miller, members of the board, asking for first reading of policy 2113. This is our other vacation day policy. We've made some revisions to add the following language to that policy. Language read as follows: in the event that there is separation for any reason, resignation, termination, or retirement, the employee will not receive compensation for accrued paid time off, including vacation days.
So as you could hear there, that was just first reading for that vacation policy, where teachers, I think, will not be able to get their PTO paid out if they end up being fired or quit or whatever. I hope that I'm missing something there, because if that is their only vacation policy, I don't imagine that many teachers will be happy about that one. So for this next portion of the video, they're going to be talking about, I think it's sex ed classes, and has to do with puberty. And one of the board members asked some questions about that. And so I won't be responding too much about it. I'm just going to show it to you. Instead, I'm going to make a separate video about this topic, because this is a very important topic that I think maybe people don't get enough news about locally. Just look out for a video in the future from me about this topic.
Mrs. Miller, members of the board, asking for your approval of the always changing elementary sex ed curriculum, new state legislation. This year, we've got to have all sex ed curriculum board approved. The board approved the sex ed curriculum for the middle school and high school back in 2016, but we've not had the elementary approved. We've been using this in 4th grade for a while. That this curriculum is purely showing how boys and girls go through puberty. And they have usually about an hour session where they watch the video. They have kids ask questions, and that's it to the curriculum. So then the next step is we always have to make sure that we have parents an opt-out, and then this year we have to share whether it's high school, middle school, or elementary, whether or not those are being taught co-ed or just male-female, and we have to tell whether or not a male or female, which one is teaching the actual course. So if I'm teaching the boys, we've got to report that it's a male is teaching the boys. If a woman is teaching the boys, sometimes that might be the nurse, then you've got to report that. And then the last part of it is all of these curriculum that are required to be on our school district website. So
A motion from Bob and a second from Kristen. Any question regarding this curriculum?
I have some questions. So, as we talk about this program, it's mostly about physiology.
mm-hmm.
So we are splitting biological males and biological females up to be instructed, correct?
Yes, if we have a situation where it's not the case, we work with the parent to, we work with the parent to which class that they go into. So, but yes, they're, for the most part, they're separated into male and female. We've got, legal, differing opinions, both on the federal level and the, state level, that we have to make sure that with recent court cases, you know, if we've got a situation that we've got a child who identifies as a different gender, that we have to work with the family to place that child into the classroom, that just working with that family. So, that's why I can't really answer your question. Yes.
So there's a possibility then, if we have a boy who identifies, a biological male who identifies as a girl, that biological male could actually go into the class with the biological females.
Yeah, according to Michelle Cooper, who is our school board attorney, that is the case, yes.
So we will be teaching a biological male possibly about feminine hygiene products that he will never use and biological changes he will never go through.
It's possible, but what we've done in the past, Mark, is we've met with the family to kind of talk through that and try to avoid that if we can.
Okay.
And the other thing I think important to remember is that we're required by state to teach this,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
This is a state-required class that we have to teach.
It's a state required class, but it's not necessarily state required that you have to put somebody who identifies as something in a class that is about physiology and biology.
And I think that the issue is that we've got court cases that do not side in the favor of separating those if it's the intention of the parent and the child to go to their identified area. Right or wrong, but that's where our current case law is, and that's why our school board attorney said, you know, work with the family, but if they ultimately choose to be in the identified course, then that's where we have to allow them to be.
And it's important for the board to know there's a very good possibility that could happen right here this year.
It's possible, yes.
Okay.
But it's not the child's decision. At this age, it's the parent's decision,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Okay.
Just to kind of clarify, this is just approving the curriculum. It's not approving the procedure for, I mean, we've got to offer the class. It's not approving the concern over, we have situations where we have a transgender student in which class to go to. So I just want to
Okay.
make sure that that's a clear, you're not approving that, you're just approving the curriculum we offer at the elementary level.
All in favor of approving the always changing sex ed curriculum, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, so I lied. I am going to give a little bit of commentary. I did make a video about Mark Sanders. Well, mostly about the people that he actually supports. But I'm not really surprised that this is an issue that he, I don't know, is upset about, I guess. First of all, there is more than biological male or biological female. And I'll go into that in this video that I'm talking about, this next video. And also, as you heard them say, the attorney is telling them that this is what they got to do to comply with the law. If you want them to go against the law, I don't know. I don't really know what you can really do in that situation other than tell them to break the law potentially, which no, they shouldn't be doing. Obviously not. I really look forward to talking about this topic more and getting some information out there, because in such a deep red county like Clinton County, I don't think people very much talk about this sort of stuff with each other. So please watch it. I'm going to try my best to explain the perspective of someone who is trans or non-binary. I'm not, but I'm going to try to get some voices out there and try to show you some information that maybe you haven't seen if you're not a part of that community. So with all that said, that's pretty much all I have for this meeting and for this video. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.